Welcome,
Hi, Andrey.
welcome.
Hi, good to be here.
Oh, good to meet you. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm just waiting on Sam. I'm waiting on Huwaida, and I'm also waiting on Miko. But I know Huwaida is running a few minutes. Oh, there we go. There's Sam. I know Huwaida is running just a few minutes late. She will be joining us here in just a few. Wow. This again, guys, this is live from the North Jordan Valley, where a lot of the Palestinian homes there that were raided just recently. If you guys have been keeping up with his account, the Israeli settlers had raided and destroyed the homes of the Palestinians. Sam, are you with us?
Yes, my phone is just shitty. We're good.
No worries. There we go. Welcome, Sam. Welcome. All right, and then again, we're just waiting on Miko and Huwaida, but I know Huwaida's joining us in just a few, so we'll just kind of get ready here to get started. I'm gonna just share it to them one more time, and then when they come in, we will bring them up. Hold on one second. Let me share it to her. Okay, awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I really do appreciate you guys being here. We have an amazing few guests today, but our guest of honor, Andrey X, is with us, and I will be introducing him here in just a few minutes. So if everybody can continue to interact with all of the panelists and with the live to repost and to share it out. And that way we can have as many people come in and listen to what is going on in the West Bank amidst all of everything that is happening around the world. We have Andrey X. Andrey X is a Russian-Israeli journalist and human rights activist known for documenting settler violence and state abuses in the West Bank. He trained in anthropology and has become a prominent on-the-ground voice highlighting the daily realities of Palestinian communities under occupation. Thank you so much, Andrey, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So if you can, just real quick, all right, there's Huwaida. If you can just let us know right now where you are live from and, what's been going on in that area that you have been seeing in the recent days.
So I'm in the valley close to the Green Line, and this area of the West Bank, the Jordan Valley constitutes about 33% of the West Bank, and it is almost completely free of Palestinian presence. So this is the place with a long history of ethnic cleansing. The Palestinians here have been under pressure since the beginning of the occupation of the West Bank. And actually, in this area, there are just 11 Palestinian communities still remaining. 20 communities left fairly recently. And 2 days ago, the head of the Jordan Valley division of the Israeli army went around the remaining communities and said that Area C will be fully free of Palestinian presence. They need to leave, and I quote him, "It's better for you if you leave rather than we expel you." And this was in the middle of several quite scale attacks in this area. Right now, there are attacks every single day in different on at least one of these 11 communities. And it's clear that the escalation that's happening now is happening because of the war with Iran, because the Israeli settlers and army, they know that nobody's watching the West Bank, that all eyes are on the war with Iran right now, so they are able to make this push. And this is something that happens every time there is some sort of some big thing happens in Gaza
Elsewhere,
or
yeah.
Anywhere else. Yeah, they use this as a distraction in order to attack Palestinian communities. And I'm afraid that right now we're watching the successful end of the ethnic cleansing of the Jordan Valley.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Did you, this is This is the problem that we're witnessing is, like you mentioned, because there's a distraction elsewhere, all eyes are everywhere else except the West Bank. So I salute you for continuing to document and show what is happening in these areas. If you could just briefly give us an explanation, or kind of just let us know what led you to start documenting what's happening in the West Bank, and was there like a specific moment that changed how you saw what's happening in Palestine?
I don't think there was a specific moment, but initially I ended up here sort of by accident, just running away from the war that Russia launched against Ukraine, and I got the easiest passport that I could get in order to get out, and that was the Israeli passport. And at that point, because it was so sudden, I was just running, I didn't know where I was coming to. And then as time went on, I learned more and more, and realized that I need to start doing something or leave, because I realized that it's not just that I came from one place to another. I had become part of a settler colonial project and of an apartheid system, and so initially I was planning to leave, but then I got involved more and more with various activist initiatives and with various work here. And then on October 7th, all of that, was turned up to 11. And a few months later, I moved to a Palestinian community in the Jordan Valley in the south, called Ras Al Oja, where I lived for several months. And that community was expelled about a month ago. About 1,500 residents were forced to flee, and this was the biggest Palestinian community in Area C of the Jordan Valley, and now it's gone, together with many others.
Wow, those villages are gone. Oh, sorry, I think your hand is on the mic.
Okay.
There we go. That's better.
Better. Okay.
Yes, you said that village is gone?
Yes, Ras Al Oja no longer exists. They were all expelled about a month ago.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So how many people were displaced from that community and that village?
About 1,500.
And where do they go?
So they all had to go to different places, because there is no really space for them, and that's in that place there isn't really any free land in Area A, and Area A as well. And just to explain for those who don't know how the West Bank works, the West Bank is split into 3 zones: A, B, and C. C is under full civil and military control of the Israeli occupation authorities. Area A is technically under control of the Palestinian Authority, but in practice that's not exactly how it works. And Area B you don't need to worry about. It practically doesn't exist. But now that Area C is becoming increasingly empty of Palestinian presence, the settlers and the army are starting to advance into Area A. So the Palestinians are getting squeezed out of every place where they may find themselves in. And I know some people in Ras Al Oja whose families were expelled from the Negev Naqab desert during the Nakba. They fled across the border to the South Hebron Hills. In 1967, they were expelled from the South Hebron Hills, and they moved to central West Bank near Bethlehem and Jerusalem, and they were expelled from there several years later, and then they moved to the Jordan Valley, and then they were expelled from there again, and now they are essentially scattered around different places. Some of them went back to the South Hebron Hills. Some of them went to different places in the Jordan Valley. But wherever you flee, the occupation chases you.
Wow, and this is why we say that the Nakba never ended. That's why we can always tell people that the Nakba is still happening. You just heard the story of this family that was expelled back in during the Nakba before, and that they were continuing to be displaced, and now their village was again displaced and was taken over by a settlement. You've spent a lot of a long period living in these Palestinian villages. What is one thing you've seen that you wish every American could witness firsthand?
Oof. What is one thing that I wish? I think that's a better question for Sam, because Sam is more familiar with Americans. I've never been to the States, and I applied for a visa and got rejected recently, probably for political reasons. But Sam can probably answer that question.
Yeah,
Sam actually
absolutely.
now dropped out.
Sam, come back, Sam. I don't know, I think he accidentally dropped. We'll wait till Sam gets back. And welcome, Huwaida. Good to see you. And Mika will be joining us in just a few minutes. So while we wait for Sam to get back, then, what would you say, like when you report on the attacks by the Israeli settlers, like what patterns have you observed that most, international media doesn't show?
I mean, I think that in general, the problem with reporting on the West Bank is that there is just so much stuff happening that inevitably it won't get to major news whenever something happens. Like, I am permanently in the West Bank. This is all I do, and I cover only the West Bank. And even I'm not able to cover maybe like 10% of everything that's happening, 10% of the attacks. Like, it is constant, it is happening everywhere. And the thing that is often missed, especially by more like centrist mainstream media, is the fact that this is done fully in cooperation between the various parts of the occupation, between the settlers and the army and the police and the courts and the civil administration. And all these systems are designed in a way to make many Palestinians leave their land as possible. And it is often presented in a sense that, there are these bad settlers, terrorists, whatever, who are doing the attacks, and we just need to deal with the settlers. But here, for instance, just a 5-minute drive away from here in the village of Al-Hadidiyah, 4 days ago, the settlers attacked together with the army. The activists were called, and when they arrived, they watched as the settlers were attacking people and rummaging through houses, while the army was standing there watching and guarding them, essentially, so that making sure that Palestinians don't resist the pogrom. And this is something that we see over and over again in all of these places.
And I can hear the I believe the goats and the sheep. Could you are you able to show us some of the parts of the village? I don't know if that's
Sure.
okay.
So, well, I can explain a little bit where I am. This is the
Oh,
Palestinian village of
wow.
Al-Farsiyeh. It's a small hamlet. There are maybe less than 20 buildings, and they have their sheep, and they have the village. And on the other side, if I just step over, that's the settlement.
That one right there. How many people are there?
The settlement itself, I think, is about 1,000 people, maybe even less.
Oh, wow.
But the settlement itself is mostly just sitting there and taking up land. The people who attack come from over there. If you see where my finger is, there is a house there. That's what we describe as a terror outpost, which is set up specifically with the explicit purpose of attacking Palestinian communities. And the settlers come from there to here, to attack people, to set fire to buildings, to smash solar panels, to essentially do economic damage. And and recently, actually, so again, this is the village. This is the hill overlooking the village. You see, that's a gazebo with an Israeli flag that the settlers set up there just to overlooking the village. And behind it is a barbed wire fence that the settlers started building just around the Palestinian village. And they built it around, right now, maybe like a third of the community, just cutting off some land. So the fence is largely symbolic at this point, but it's one of these things that are constantly being done in order to intimidate, harass, and eventually get them to leave. But this community has been under attack for a very long time, for years, since long before October 7th, and they have been showing incredible resilience in the face of the terror that they're facing. And yeah, they're very impressive. This is a very impressive community, and yeah, one of the last remaining in the region now.
Oh my goodness. It just shows the resilience of the Palestinians that despite everything, that the continuous attacks every single day, that they will not leave until, obviously there comes like an order or enforcement, or they have to get arrested, or they have to, are forced to leave. Let me just real quick say hello to, oh, Sam, hold on one second, Sam. I'm gonna just mute you real quick because you just have a little bit background noise. Let me just introduce Sam here real quick. Sam is a writer and protective presence activist who lived in Palestine for 6 years. He now spends his time between the United States and Palestine, and recently spent a month in Ras Al Ain in the Jordan with UCPIP. Sam has been a guest of ours before. Welcome, Sam. It's good to see you again. Oh, you're muted, Sam. Hold on. I sent you to unmute. Oh, let's try again.
No, not too far.
Wait.
And back to your
I think he may have just a lag.
that way.
Is not really cooperating today, so hopefully, I'm able to come off clearly, and apologies.
Yep, no, I can hear you. I think there's just a lag, but no worries. I wanted to, the question initially, asking like, what is one thing you have seen that you wish every
Can you hear me?
American would witness firsthand?
Sorry, hold on.
Next to London.
And welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Sorry, I missed the question. My phone is really lagging. Apologies for the
Yeah, no
tech
worries.
issues.
No worries. It was initially, what is one thing you've seen that you wish every American could witness firsthand, living long periods in Palestinian villages?
Yeah, I think, Andre pointed to this, and really most activists that spend time on the ground do, that the biggest thing is how obvious it is that this is not, that all the violence is not, that it's totally reinforced by the army and by the state, and even by the international world and by the West. And I think that, kind of in that vein, one of the most eye-opening things for Americans to see, especially speaking, from my own background, for American Jews, but all Americans, is to see that, and it becomes very clear if you spend even a minute on the ground in the West Bank. And I think even more obviously is just the complete.
Oh, I think he may have gotten a call. Do you guys hear me? Let me send it to you, Andre. Make sure you guys. Oh, I think.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I think he's having issues, but we'll wait for him to come back. I'll send it to him again. Welcome, Miko. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome, Huwaida. Huwaida, actually, you were in Al Tibet just not too long ago in a delegation, and you were speaking to families during after the raids that they experienced. If you can just let us know, Huwaida, what did the families mention and express to you, knowing that this is one of the largest and last Palestinian Christian villages that exist now in the West Bank?
Yeah, thanks, Taz. Hello, everyone. As you mentioned, I took a delegation of Eyewitness Palestine. So if anyone is looking to go for the first time and really get an understanding of what's happening on the ground, you can look into Eyewitness Palestine delegations. There's actually a virtual delegation online on the website Eyewitness Palestine, so you can watch some things virtually. It's a beautiful village at Taibeh, the last all Christian village in the West Bank, and they're subjected to attacks just like any other village. The settlers raid, they come in with sticks, they break up stuff, they steal animals, they put graffiti all over the place, and soldiers are standing just, a few meters away watching them. So people are locked in their homes. They're afraid of any kind of confrontation because they know that they can't fight back. If they try to fight back, they will be accused of criminal acts, terrorism. They will be locked away. Palestinians have no authority, nothing, no law protecting them. They're subject to Israeli military law, which does not guarantee the minimum basic fair trial laws. You have the prosecutor, the witnesses, the arresters, the judges, they're all part of the Israeli military, which is part of a settler colonial regime that wants to get rid of Palestinians. So there are no rights there. Of course, Israel will tell you Palestinians can file complaints with the Palestinian police if they are attacked. But if you look at even Israeli sources, approximately 95% of complaints filed by Palestinians don't lead to any kind of indictment, even though there is evidence, video evidence, sometimes in addition to other evidence. Most, over 80%, are not even investigated at all. And even the ones that are investigated and lead to an indictment, you only have a couple percent maybe that lead to any kind of prosecution or verdict. Which is often very small, like a slap on the wrist. So there's nothing holding settlers back, and soldiers are settlers, as and if they're not settlers themselves, the relationship is strong there. They participate in these attacks with total impunity, and no one is off limits. So Taibeh is an all Christian village. But my family, for example, is from Beit Sahor, which is a largely Christian village. You have Palestinians in Bethlehem. You have throughout the West Bank and Ramallah and all of these places. There's no difference, right? There's no difference in Palestinians between Christians and Muslims. But we know that the West and Israel likes to create this artificial separation, and mainly Muslims, but also all Palestinians have been largely vilified throughout the world. So they're always, the violent ones. And hopefully with the work of like Andrey, other witness Sam, other people on the ground, people are starting to see, and Palestinians themselves trying to kind of live stream their daily oppression and the total lack of rights that they have. In Gaza, we see they were live streaming the genocide. I will stop there, but just to say, you asked this question of, I think it's a really important one, and what Sam and Andrey both said are definitely super important, that people recognize it's not just these fringe radical settlers. It's an entire system, right? It's an entire regime that is intent on getting rid of Palestinians, and then the whole complicity of the international community, certainly of the United States that is enabling it, but also of other countries that also supply Israel and provide Israel with this not only military, financial support, but diplomatic cover, or they do nothing. Right. But I would point to something else, and it's something that has always struck me. It is when you realize, and I think it does affect internationals, especially those coming to Palestine for the first time, because especially in the United States, but in other places, you're raised with this whole system that, in popular culture, media culture, that vilifies Palestinians. And then you see with your own eyes what an oppressive system, like you can't even imagine, exists in this day and age, that is designed to strip them of their basic humanity. And yet Palestinians hold on to that humanity. So if you're not coming as an occupier, they welcome you, will give you what little they have. You are a brother, a sister, and treat you with such love and respect. And that's such beauty and humanity. The Palestinians can hold on to that when they are subjected and have known nothing else their entire lives except living under this cruel system and total indifference of the whole world. It's really amazing to me how Palestinians have managed to hold on to their humanity and really can teach humanity. And it's such stark contrast to what the rest of the world hears about Palestine and Palestinians.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely, Huwaida. I think you said that perfectly. And that's what I was mentioning earlier is that the steadfastness and the way that they will, the sumud, I believe that's like this, the steadfastness of the Palestinians that they will continue to stay no matter what. Andrey mentioned about one of the villages before that they continue to be moved from one place to another, but they never left that land. They will never leave the land. And Andrey, real quick, I wanted to, to ask you, now, are you staying in the village right now? Do you generally stay throughout the day for a few days or a few weeks? Like, how do you how do you choose when to go to different areas? Is there do you stay for a few days in this village and then go to another one, or a few weeks?
Usually I stay in an area for a few days. Now I'm in the North Jordan Valley. I came last night. I'm going to stay for a few more days, and then I'm going to go to the next area. I try to make a round and go to everywhere where there is need for help. And of course, sometimes there will be an attack, and then people will ask me to come and provide coverage for it, and then I go to that place.
And Huwaida was mentioning, and as many people know, that the IDF is always accompanying the settlers. Do you see that on a daily basis? And my other question is, when you leave, is there another person that is part of the protective presence that it takes your place, so that there's always somebody there?
Yeah, so let me be clear. It's not that I am alone, or just me and Sam running around the West Bank and doing stuff. There are hundreds of activists that are in the West Bank at any one time. Maybe hundreds is an overestimation, but okay. At least 50 to 100 activists in the West Bank at any one time, and they try to do shifts. They try to. Sorry, I can hear myself through.
Yeah, it's Sam. It's Sam. Sam, I'm gonna try to mute you, Sam. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Success. So there are places that really need 24/7 presence. There are places that only need protective presence, like need rapid response. Like if something happens, then for activists to go there. But also we're very short on manpower. It's there is a lot of stuff happening all the time, and there are more and more places that are becoming targeted by the settlers, and they're all asking for presence of activists for people to just come and stay with them, because oftentimes this can reduce the amount of violence, and and we're able to record it and make sure that it goes to the to the media and so forth. So this area of the West Bank is covered by the protective presence organization called Jordan Valley Activists. You can Google them and you can join. I mean, not everybody can join, obviously, like if you're from Pakistan, you're just not allowed to enter the country, but this is accessible to a lot of people, especially in Europe and in the States. People can come and join activists on the ground, and I encourage everybody to see if it's possible to do for you.
What is the website?
To come to here, you can look up Jordan Valley Activists, and they have a forum or something, like some sort of link, or you can just text them on Instagram. And there is also the International Solidarity Movement, Unarmed Civilian Protection in Palestine, Faza'a, spelled Faza3, and many other organizations. Jordan Valley Activists is the one here.
Thank you. Man, Huwaida also mentioned that there is no difference between Palestinian Christians and Palestinian Muslims. They are both subjugated to the exact same ethnic cleansing. So, it's very important that everybody understands that if you are not aware of that. But it's very important that people understand that they do not differentiate. We see it in different areas of Beit Jala and Bethlehem, and then in Taiba just a few weeks ago as well. So as long as you're Palestinian, you will be subjugated to these the settlers that raid your villages, and also ethnic cleansing. I wanted to also introduce our brother Miko Peled. For those who don't know, Miko is the founder and president of the Palestine House of Freedom in Washington, D.C. He's an author, speaker, and a human rights activist, and he is recognized as a leading advocate for Palestinian justice and the establishment of a single democracy with equal rights across historic Palestine. Welcome, Brother Miko. Good to see you.
Good to be with you. Thank you. Sorry I was late. Good to be with you. It's great to see so many people. It's great to see this fantastic work that's being done on the ground. The protection program. Way to go! You can't overstate how important it is. And I would just say one thing. Two things. One, this idea that somehow the attackers are fringe activists, and I know Huwaida touched on that as well. They're all settlers. I mean, there are no Israelis that are not settlers. So my parents' generation were the equivalent. My parents' generation that's the generation that committed the Nakba in 1948. They did the exact same things as the fringe, quote unquote, settlers are doing now. And the soldiers are also, there's no such thing as non-settlers in Israel. It's all of this thing called Israel. The entire apartheid space is settlers and Palestinians, and that's it. And the other thing I would say is I think it's time to stop using the term West Bank, because there is no West Bank. There are ghettos in which Palestinians live, and the rest of it is completely incorporated into the privileged side, the Israeli side of the country. And so I know there's never enough people to do the protective presence, and never enough activists to document and so forth. But the Nakab Palestinians in the Nakab, 300,000 Palestinians in the Nakab, are going through a very, very similar process as what we've heard. Palestinians, Christians, Muslims in Ramle, Lid, Haifa, Nasra, Jaffa, all these places, they're all going through very similar things. And of course, there's Jerusalem and in the Galilee. So there's this process of Judaizing the Galilee, for example, or Judaizing the Nakab. And it's going in full force. And so it's just that is being done by mostly people in uniform, and it's kind of a formal bureaucracies and agencies of the state, as opposed to the settlers, who look like a bunch of crazy people, but are actually also soldiers of the state at the end of the day. So I think it's important to see Palestine as a whole. Here, Palestine House of Freedom, that's our approach. You've got Palestinians that have been broken away from one another by this reality that the apartheid state created, of a West Bank, a Gaza, a Jerusalem, a North, a South, the Nakab. Every part of the country is governed by a slightly different bureaucracy, so they have their own issues, but it's all the same issue, and it's all the same country. And so, for example, I've been in touch with people in Lid and Ramle, tens of thousands of Palestinians, and there are no bomb shelters, for example, and home demolitions are at a super high, and political prisoners, people being arrested for saying or doing anything. So it's a very similar process. And then I'll say one thing about, I know you're in the Jordan Valley now, but people forget that some of the Palestinians, for example, in the South Hebron Hills, are Palestinian Bedouin from the Nakab who were displaced in 48.
Yep.
So, this process keeps going and going and going. And so we need to, and what we're trying to do here is to strategically bring an end to the apartheid state. So you've got the people on the ground, like I said, doing sacred work, standing with Palestinians, and I think strategically as a movement, we should. I know we realize this, but I think we should express the fact that there's no such thing as settlers that are not, as opposed to what, because all Israelis are settlers, the soldiers are settlers, my family were settlers. I mean, it doesn't matter if they live in Tel Aviv or in Hebron, they're all settlers and they're all violent and they're all part of of the problem. And that there's no West Bank, because as long as we keep talking about a West Bank, people fall onto this nonsense idea of a two-state solution or something like that. And of course, we all know that that's gone. And it's gone because there is no West Bank anymore and so forth. It was not a good idea to begin with. Just
We on the ground are more Palestinian during a settler attack, you're guaranteed to be immediately arrested. This is just what happens. Also, the horrible thing is that even if you don't resist, even if you don't defend yourself, oftentimes you will be arrested. And this is what happened in Al Hadidi, just 5 minutes away from here, 4 days ago, when the settlers raided together with the army, and the settlers attacked and beat people and injured people, and then 7 Palestinians were arrested as a result of that attack. The victims of the pogrom in their own village were arrested by the army. But of course, if you resist, you practically guarantee a chance of arrest. But nonetheless, there are places that are able to resist and fend off settler attacks. That's usually slightly larger towns in Area B, where there are built up areas where there are a lot of Palestinians who are able to come together and resist during. But oftentimes this also results in the murder of Palestinians, because these pogroms, the way that they often will go is that maybe 30 to 50 settlers will descend upon a village, masked, armed with sticks and stones and guns, and they will start throwing rocks at the Palestinians in full view of the army. The army, of course, doesn't care when the settlers are throwing rocks. And to clarify on terminology, because Miko noted that everybody is a settler, in the West Bank, the way that the nomenclature goes is that a settler, mustautan, is a very specific category. Like, it's not even all West Bank settlers. It's a very specific category of an individual. It's these sort of brown shirt militias that are launching the attacks, and there is a distinction between them and the army and the police, just because you need different names to call them. This is not some ideological statement. So these settlers will descend, and when they attack, the army will do nothing and watch. But if the Palestinians try to resist and throw rocks back within their own community as they're being pogromed, the army will often shoot and murder Palestinians. And this is a pattern which has been going on for a very long time, since before October 7th. I remember that 6 months before October 7th, a friend of mine had to carry the body of a Palestinian murdered by an Israeli soldier as he was trying to defend his village during one of these pogroms. And now it's just happening more and more. So the ways of resistance are very limited. But the thing that the communities that stay strongest are the communities that are most connected between each other, that are holding strong for some of them for decades of attacks and from every conceivable direction. And the many villages in the Masafriata in the South Urban Hills region are doing an incredible job just staying resilient in the face of the terror.
And I know Sam actually got attacked by these settlers. He actually got, hit. Did you also experience that as well? Were you ever also attacked by them physically?
I mean, I was attacked physically many times by soldiers, by settlers, and by police. I was seriously attacked a few times. Once, the most damage that was done to me was when I was hit on the head with a stick by a settler, and he tore my eardrum, and I couldn't hear well in one ear for 2 months. And I know the name of the settler. I have his Facebook account, but and it's on camera. But of course, there were no consequences, and he
No
continued
consequences.
harassing Palestinians in that exact
Of
way.
course, there's never consequences for any Israeli attacks on anything, right? On any human, on any Palestinian, or any animals, on any land. There is no consequences. Go ahead, Sam, if you want to respond as well, and then also kind of talk about when you got attacked. I know you were physically seriously injured as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that really sums it up. The biggest thing that I'll add is that it's not just Palestinians that can't resist or defend themselves. It's anyone in solidarity with Palestinians. If an activist, if a non-Palestinian activist, even if they're an anti-Zionist Israeli, were to defend themselves, then they would be arrested and, sort of subjected to the absolute worst that the law could bring forward. And B, it would all come back to the Palestinian community that they're standing with. If I'm in Ras Al Ain or Al Khair, Masafriyata, or anywhere, and I'm attacked by a settler and I attack back, then I'm going to get arrested. And that night, the next morning, whenever it is, there's going to be a pogrom and an army raid with a bunch of arrests on the Palestinian community because of sort of in retaliation to that.
Of course.
And so there were 2 times that I was kind of more severely attacked. And like Andrey mentioned, basically anyone who spent enough time in the West Bank has like thousands of cases of more, quote unquote, mundane and less severe violence, of just shoving and harassment and sort of just like violations of like dignity and autonomy. But the 2 more severe attacks that I experienced, one was in May 2021 during the Unity Intifada and during sort of that war between Israel and Hamas that once upon a time was the craziest escalation that many of us had experienced in Palestine. During that, I was attacked by settlers in Masafriyata, and basically when I called the police to report it, the settlers had already reported that I'd attacked them. So a cop came and, came to the area and spoke to me and got my testimony and told me that I am like involved, but also a suspect is what he said in Hebrew, and told me that I needed to come to the police station with him. So another friend and activist drove me to the police station. And then we were both arrested. This friend was literally just my ride. And we were both arrested and interrogated. And that interrogation process was honestly worse than the attack. The sort of, insane gaslighting and psychological abuse of that was really, really hard for me. And basically, we were both banned from the West Bank for 2 weeks, which is another tool that Israel uses to dissident activists, especially those with Israeli passports who can't be deported. You can be arrested and banned just from specific regions for a certain amount of time. And the more recent attack was almost exactly a year ago. Last March, I was attacked by soldiers right by a military base where I'd maybe not so smartly parked my car. And it was very, very clear and became clearer and clearer as this went on that they thought I was Palestinian. They kept yelling at me while they were attacking me. They yelled at me in Arabic. One kept saying, Dir Balak, Dir Balak. And he threw me to the ground and hit me in the face with either his gun or his boot or something, and told me, tried to open my phone with like the face lock, which I don't use for this exact reason, and threatened me constantly saying that he would kill me if I didn't open my phone. And I've had people threatening to kill me before, and this was kind of the time that felt the realest. I was in that moment, I was like not sure if he meant it or not.
Yeah, and of course, because he thought you were, they thought you were Palestinian.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That was where the aggression initially started.
Yeah, and they zip tied me and blindfolded me and dragged me into the base, and eventually it became clear that I'm not Palestinian, that I'm Jewish and have Israeli citizenship. And the shift was, night and day. 1 or 2 of the more, I guess, enthusiastic soldiers were still cursing me out and harassing me and calling me a traitor or whatever, but the physical and all physicality basically completely stopped after that. One lightly kicked me in the back of the leg at some point. It was like nothing. And there was literally a debate sort of happening around me at this time while I'm just like blindfolded in this military base of basically what the fact that I'm not Palestinian means right now, because I'm Jewish, but I'm a leftist and a traitor and whatever. And basically there was this debate of whether or not or how much they should beat me up, basically. And that kind of, really highlights how huge the difference is, and it was like kind of the only way, in a bizarre way. I'm grateful for it. It was a really important experience to kind of, in the only way possible, experience, almost what it's like to be Palestinian for a tiny amount of time. And it highlights the huge difference in how we're treated, but also kind of, both of these experiences and the fact that even activists will be arrested for being attacked. And I think that's become more and more common than it was that first time it happened to me. That first time it happened to me, a lot of friends and other activists were still very shocked, candidly, that it happened to, a Jew and not to a Palestinian. All of this stuff has been happening to Palestinians forever. What we're seeing in the past few years, basically since October 7th and the genocide, is this slow, all of the things that have been happening to Palestinians since 1948 and even earlier are slowly, to lesser degrees, starting to happen to non-Palestinian activists and dissidents. And this points to a large, Israel as a settler colonial state and project is not unique at all. Like there's uniquenesses to everything, but it follows the exact same model that other settler colonial projects have followed. And one of those is that supremacy is baked into the ethos of the project, whichever the colonizing group is. So in Israel, it's Jewish supremacy, but there's always a limit. You always see the point where, the fact that you are part of our supremacist in-group has just gone out the window. And a tiny, you kind of, in the eyes of the project, never hit the level of the colonized people and of the indigenous people and of the real target of the violence. But the second you are truly against the project, you're up for grabs too. And like I said, that's just becoming more and more, the lines are getting blurred. And there's a saying that fascism is just colonialism turned inwards. And I think it's kind of just a logical conclusion breaking point that, like I said, happens in all of these projects, that eventually you're going to start doing what you were doing, the violence that you were attacking, projecting towards the indigenous colonized people, is eventually going to start, in varying degrees, be used against other people, even the people in your supposed in-group.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree, Sam. What we're witnessing, it's as long as you're protecting Palestinians, you will also be, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's a lesser form, but you will still get, subjected to everything that, some of the Palestinians are witnessing and going through. And just real quick before, I know, Andrey, it's dark by you, but if we can, just last question by my co-host, Linda, and then we'll wrap it up from there. And I truly, truly appreciate you being with us, both you and Sam, and earlier we had Miko and Huwaida, just an amazing live where we could just truly understand and focus on what's happening right now. And so go ahead, Linda.
Hi, is my audio clear?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Andrey. It's a pleasure to meet you. I thank you for staying and doing something, as you said. I think it's important to note your activism, and Sam's is very personal to so many of us, because as Palestinians, you're doing what we are unable to do, but wish that we could do. I'm first generation, and 90% of my family lives in the West Bank, so I salute you. My question is as follows. We saw the Nof HaMishkan outpost dismantled, only for settlers to begin rebuilding elsewhere. How do these new outposts reshape Palestinian life, even before they're officially recognized. And if you have a moment, can you share how many communities you've witnessed that were completely ethnically cleansed since you arrived in occupied Palestine?
So about the outposts, this hasn't been here forever. It's a specific strategy that was invented in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Oh, wait, one second, Andre. I think if you can just move. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So the terror outpost is a specific strategy that was invented in the late 90s, early 2000s by the settler leader nicknamed Zambish, who came up with the concept of shepherding outposts. And his logic was as follows. So you're trying to take over land. And so far what you're doing is you're building cities, essentially, which is extremely expensive and really difficult logistically and takes a lot of time, and you need a lot of people to live there, and for a long time it won't be nice to live there, and so on. It's a really difficult, really complicated process. But and then in the end you like take over the space, however, of the size of the living blocks, essentially, like where you actually have the houses. But if you set up a small farm, which may be just one or two prefab houses, which take a few hours to construct, and you place like 3, 4, 5 people there and a flock of sheep, then you can claim for yourself a massive area because you can claim it as your grazing land. And this became the main way of the expulsion of shepherding communities over the course of the next 25 years now. Just the economic damage from the settler sheep grazing out the traditional grazing land of a shepherding community has been enough in some cases. There are communities that were forced to leave just because they just couldn't graze their sheep, and this was the foundation of their livelihood. These shepherding outposts are populated usually with, so there will be a settler leader who is going to be an adult, trained, and assigned to him. There will be essentially kids, sometimes literally kids, underage settler soldiers who, not settler soldiers, child soldiers, essentially child soldiers, who will be taken from difficult families across the Green Line, from orphans and so on, who will be sent to these outposts subsidized by the Israeli state for quote-unquote re-education, and they will be used as a weapon against Palestinians, brainwashed and sent to inflict violence upon Palestinians. These shepherding outposts have always been doubling as terror outposts, but now the shepherding part has sort of faded away because this is not as relevant as it used to be. It's done sometimes, but most of the time these outposts are just used as forward operating bases for attacks on Palestinian communities. And these terror outposts are probably the main vehicle of ethnic cleansing in Area C of the West Bank.
Andrey, and if you could just answer or share rather how many communities you've witnessed completely ethnically cleansed since you've arrived in occupied Palestine.
1, 2, 3,
Oh, wow.
4, 5, 6,
Wow.
7,
Oh my gosh.
8, 9, 10, 11. I think 11, but I may be missing a few.
You said 11?
I think at least 11.
Sam, did you want to, does that sound, that's how much that Andre has witnessed. Is there more that maybe you also witnessed? That maybe Andre didn't, or maybe...
I've only sort of watched it literally happen before my eyes, been there while Palestinians are packing up, being expelled and displaced. in Ras Al Ain Uja, which was expelled just this January. And Andrey and I were both there. And a handful of others that I kind of was present in and around towards the ending, while towards the end of things, or even supported the communities after, bringing food or resources to wherever they fled to upon being displaced. And then the number of communities that I heard about and read about being displaced and expelled while being involved in this work, especially since this Kahanist government came into power, is 10, 15, 20 sounds about right.
That's oh man, this is why we say that this is the Nakba never ended. It's happening right now. And as a Palestinian, I am hurting hearing all of this, hearing that my brothers and sisters have been experiencing this for 77 plus years, and it's not ending, and it's not going to end until this entire settler colonial state that we're witnessing is completely removed. And as a Palestinian, I do thank both, Andrey and Sam and all of those that are on the ground trying their best in any resources or any way, shape, or form to help those Palestinian families and villages. I really do truly thank you from, my entire family, because many of us are not able to be there. And like you mentioned, even if we are there, any Palestinian that dares even to do anything, or even those that don't do anything and are getting attacked, will still get arrested and, completely removed from that land. It's absolutely heartbreaking, but I do applaud you both for continuing to do this work. And Andrey, I thank you so much for joining us. Thankfully, there was no raid today that we on the village, but we know that is just one day, a lucky day, because this is happening every single day. But I wanted to thank you, Andrey, for tuning in with us, and it's been an absolute honor. And please continue to do what you do. Let us know if there's anything that we can do more. Like if you're seeing, I know we mentioned this earlier, but if there's any time of like an emergency action, please let us know, and we will do our best to stand by you and Sam and any of those that need us to help our brothers and sisters in Palestine.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrey.